digs like hands.
What kind of, was that a Tua throw? Way underthrown.
Got chirped his own team.
That was bad. I want to take that back.
Wow, AFC, number 1. Okay, kind of got a theme with mine. Eric is going to love this. The Baltimore Ravens.
Lamar Jackson has never really had the threats that he has this year. We've got Odell, we've got Zay, you've got Rashad Bateman, you have Mark Andrews, you have Isaiah Likely. We have so many options on offense. If you want to try to say he's not a top 10 quarterback in the league, I don't even really feel like talking to you.
But I love the Baltimore Ravens this year.
I'm a Broncos fan, so legally I am obligated to not pick the Chiefs winning the conference. So I'm going to slap the Bills on there.
I feel like this has become such a common guess that I'm actually going to go straight to the quad box on this.
Playing probably at home in an AFC championship.
Surprise, surprise, the Kansas City Chiefs.
We'll put the Chiefs at number 1.
They're probably favored in all 17 games on the early lines.
Didn't that speed things up? If you like watching all the chaos at once, TSN Plus is taking game day to a whole new level with NFL Red Zone. Click the link in the description to subscribe now for every touchdown from every game all season long. Number 2, I'm gonna get a little crazy here. The Jacksonville Jaguars. I don't know if you can add Calvin Ridley to an already great offense with a quarterback who's only getting better, who's easily top 10 in the league, and not have them finish really high in the rankings. We saw how good T-Law was after he got rid of Urban Meyer, and I think we're gonna look for the Jags to do really big things this year.
This one's for Eric. We'll go with Baltimore.
Your 14-3 or 13-4 Buffalo Bills are going to be the 2 seed. People are sick of the Bills already just because of all the hype last year, and now people are trying to say Josh Allen's not a good leader, Sean McDermott's not a good leader. Do you not remember all of the things this team went through last year? And they had 2 leaders at the helm to kind of guide them through that. Obviously, it was disappointing in that playoff game against the Bengals, but this team is going to go 14-3, 13-4, and win that division.
This is one of the best offenses in football. Pair that with the loaded roster they have on the defensive side. This team's going to be dangerous, and they're probably in the best division in football. But I can see them realistically coming out on top and taking down the big bad Buffalo Bills.
Not counting out the Kansas City Chiefs at all in the slightest, who come in at number 2.
Once Joey B comes back, I think he has a really great season, and that might be a little bit of foreshadowing.
The 3 seed. I'm expecting big things from Lamar Jackson this year.
I'm on the Trevor Lawrence train. I believe in the Jacksonville Jaguars. I don't think the way they ended the end of last season was a fluke.
You know what? With Greg Roman gone, I'm expecting a recharged Lamar Jackson.
I think it's time, you know. At a certain point, you just need to kind of eat your vegetables. The Kansas City Chiefs have been my vegetables for a very long time.
I'm tired of the disrespect Lamar Jackson has received throughout his NFL career. You can say he's a running back, he's a running back, he's a running back. Well, in 2019, that running back threw for more passing touchdowns than your favorite quarterback. So wear it, pipe it, let's go.
Christopher Hines going to like this. The Buffalo Bills. As you can see, the AFC is an absolute gauntlet, and it sucks if your team doesn't have a quarterback. If you're the Jacksonville Jaguars, you've got one of those quarterbacks. AFC South winners.
Where would you have the Jaguars if Urban Meyer was still their coach?
Wow, the South divisions are really trash on both sides, eh? Congratulations, Titans. You've earned it. The 4 spot.
Number 4, the Buffalo Bills.
We'll put the Bills obviously at 4.
Back half of the year, Trevor Lawrence was just so good last year. Hard to bet against him and the Jags.
I'm going with the Titans to win the South. I do love Mike Vrabel. I'm a big fan of him. I mentioned in another video how my wife has a thing for Mike Vrabel, and anytime we turn on Red Zone and it's like just not even paying attention, like, oh, Titans are on, and it's like you're not even watching. So yeah, I respect Vrabel, but would I ever leave him alone in a room with my wife? Not a chance I would do that.
I've got Eric, the Ravens fan. He's holding a hammer back there, and I'm a little afraid of him. So I think they're going to have to go into the playoffs, but not quite yet. I am going to put the Chargers there, which sucks for me because, again, Broncos fan, it's tough here.
In the wild card 1, I'm going to go with the Buffalo Bills.
Here, there are a lot of good options. The first one, the Cincinnati Bengals.
Of course, it's the Bengals, which once again sets up another spicy Bills-Bengals game, which I'm sure we all can't wait to see, even though last year it was absolutely horrible.
It's pretty hard to say that the Bengals aren't going to win their division and not say they are going to be the best wild card team available.
Our first wild card, just a matter of if Tua can stay healthy.
Number 6, My man just got paid.
We'll give Puck a shout out here with the Dolphins. Is that a sign? It might be a sign. Wrong. Look, the Jets hype is definitely over the top, but everyone's talking about Aaron Rodgers, but this defense is what makes this team really over the top.
We got the Bengals. This is a little low for the Bengals, but they got a tough schedule.
Another quarterback. The Los Angeles Chargers, Justin Herbert. Here we go. I'm kind of all in on the Chargers this year. Like, Justin Herbert is going to light the world on fire even more so than he did last year when he had like broken ribs and was playing through them. Like, that's a tough SOB right there to play through that. Chargers to the moon right now.
Hard to imagine a playoff without Joe Burrow.
And then I'm going to go the Ravens. And with the final spot, I think that Trevor Lawrence does get in. You know what? I'm moving you down and I'm putting you there. Yeah. Okay, the Ravens don't want to be in playoffs. They don't want to make it. We're sticking the Broncos there.
The Denver Broncos snag that 7 seed.
We're going with the Chargers.
We'll go with the Chargers.
I'm going to go bold, and I'm going to buy into great coaching and great defense. And I'm going to put the Pittsburgh Steelers as the 7 seed. They were so good down the stretch. I like Kenny Pickett to get a little better next year. And when TJ Watt is in the lineup, they are phenomenal.
Miami's not making it in, Puck. Sorry. It's Aaron Rodgers. It's the New York Jets. And again, a theme. 7 of the top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL are right here.
Now let's jump into the way worse and way more confusing NFC.
Win the NFC, I think there's only one team that could win the Super Bowl, and that's the Eagles.
I'm going to go with the safest bet, in my opinion, to win the conference, and that is the San Francisco 49ers.
Will be boring to start things off with the Eagles.
First place, I do think that the Eagles, season long, I think that they are going to be the best team in the NFC. The only thing I'd be worried of is Jalen Hurts getting hurt. The only thing I'd be worried about is Jalen Hurts getting hurt because that guy gets hit a lot.
I'm going to go with the San Francisco 49ers. I have my questions with not only Brock Purdy, but the other quarterbacks in that QB room. But I'm going to bank on Kyle Shanahan here to figure it out and make things work no matter who is under center. And they've got a great defense.
Might be a little controversial. I won the Dallas Cowboys at 1. I don't trust Mike McCarthy. I think it was a dumb decision to let Kellen Moore go. I just think that like the Eagles are going to have to play football in the fourth quarter this year, which is going to be a bit of a shock to them because they didn't play football at all in the fourth quarter last year because they were winning by so much. So give me the Cowboys just to shake it up a little bit. I don't think the Eagles are going to have the same amount of success as they did last year.
I don't even think it's really close when it comes to these top two. They could kind of flip-flop back and forth, but I think that it will be 1-2, whether it's this way or that way.
Number 2.
I got the Eagles at 2.
The San Francisco 49ers.
Gotta go with the Niners.
Go with the Philadelphia Eagles.
Number 3. Who do I think is going to win the NFC North is the real question. Because if you win the NFC North, you automatically get the 3rd seed because you probably have a better record than the NFC South.
I have the Packers winning the North. This is also kind of a fade on the division. Everyone's a little high on the Lions.
The Packers, everyone wants to talk trash about them because they lost Aaron Rodgers. Now they've got Jordan Love, who seems like an easy guy to make fun of for some reason. He hasn't really done anything other than just be drafted. So you know what? I'm going to show Love some loves. Love some love. Hurt some hurt. Love some love. I'm going to put the Packers there.
I'm going to buy the hype. I don't know if anyone else is. I feel like a lot of people might go Packers here.
Aaron Rodgers left town, and I'm going to give this team some love. No pun intended. Let's make sure it's on tight. I think that symbolizes how confident I am in this pick, maybe.
I'm going with the Green Bay Packers.
Detroit's another team a lot of people are not buying the hype on. I think there's going to be this offensive regression, and the defense still isn't that great. I think with Jahmyr Gibbs going to this team, with David Montgomery going to this team, the running game is what's going to carry them. They're going to win a pretty weak NFC North. That's from a Packers fan perspective.
4 seed, this is a weird one. This division is garbage, but we're going to give it to the Falcons just out of not trusting anybody else.
I guess I'll put Derek Carr. You know, Derek Carr is kind of one of those quarterbacks where it's like, if you're better than him, then you're like a good quarterback. If you're worse than him, then you're a bad quarterback.
This is just horrible. I can't believe a team has to win from the NFC South, but someone has to win. So it's the Atlanta Falcons, baby. NFC South winners. It's more of a bet on Arthur Smith. And the Falcons were like really competitive last year. If Ritter was playing instead of Mariota, they might have won a few more games. So it's a bet on him, and it's a bet on Bijan, Drake London, Kyle Pitts. Like, that could be the best skill position group in all of football in like 2 years' time.
Somebody has to win it, and I'm going to go with the only quarterback that I consider actually decent to do it, and that is Derek Carr.
Every single year, there's a team that goes from worst to first in the NFL, and I think the Atlanta Falcons actually have a pretty good shot of being that team.
At the end of the day, I think Derek Carr is going to outperform Desmond Ritter this year.
Wildcard teams. This one's easy. No explanation really needed. Philadelphia Eagles.
This one's the most obvious to me. If the Eagles win their division, it is very obviously the Cowboys that take this 5th wildcard spot.
Now it's the Dallas Cowboys, who a lot of people think is a good sleeper pick here to actually win the Super Bowl. Dak Prescott has said out loud that he's going to throw less interceptions this year. So you can take that to the bank, okay? I don't know how people haven't done this before, but if you say you throw less, you throw less. Even if you throw a bad pass, DBs just drop it.
Oh, baby. America's team.
I drafted Geno Smith to be my QB1 in fantasy, so I'm just going to make it happen and toss him there.
Because the Eagles are obviously going to win that division. We got the boys as the 5 seed.
I'm still believing in Geno Smith. I think the Seattle Seahawks are going to be back in the playoffs. Geno's not writing back still. He got paid, but he also got an improved core of weapons around him. You got Jackson Smith and Jigba coming in. You got Zach Charbonnet entering the backfield. I almost honestly put them to win the division.
Okay, so the Cowboys are looking good now down in that 6th spot.
We're going with Seattle.
I think one of these two teams is not going to make it, of the Seahawks and the Lions. I'm going to predict it's the Seahawks. I'm not writing back. We've seen like 3/4 a season of really good football from him. That's all. That's all we've seen. Give me the Lions. Like I think the hype is too much for them to win the division, but I think they will make the playoffs this year.
These last 2 spots are so volatile, could go any way really, and I am putting the Green Bay Packers in here.
We'll get crazy. Everyone thinks the NFC North is the worst division in football. Let's load up.
And then finally, we're going with the Vikings in the 7th seed. I don't know if you guys are watching quarterback, but Kirk Cousins is the most boring person maybe in the entire history of the world, but it somehow made him even more likable.
I'm going to choose the Lions. I'm going to put them in there.
It's the Carolina Panthers. This is a wild pick, but you know what? Sometimes there are just going to be wild teams that make the playoffs. Their defense is actually really good too. Like, I know I said the Saints defense in the NFC South might be the best. These guys are good on defense, and I feel like they've insulated Bryce Young enough. Like the O-line, I know the preseason hasn't looked great, but like the O-line's got some talent on it, and then you're talking about reliable weapons like Robert Woods, Adam Thielen. They're solid players. That's all I can say about them.
I'm going to go crazy here and say 3 teams from the same division make the playoffs. Captain Kirk and the Minnesota Vikings into this playoff race, into number 7.
And I'm putting the Minnesota Vikings. They won a ton of one-score games last year. Yeah, they might regress a little bit, but I'm going to put them in my 7 seed. That's the 1 through 7 in both the AFC and the NFC. Screenshot this. Clown me 6 months from now when everything's wrong except for the Dolphins winning the division. And yeah, it should be a really fun season.
Okay, I'm on the other side of the couch now. Rookie of the year, got to go with Bryce Young. I thought the Bears made a mistake trading out of that pick because I'm not really that sold on Fields. We just talked about how the division's wide open. If he's good, would it shock me if Carolina gets in? I don't know. So Bryce Young, I think, is the Rookie of the Year. Just quarterback is just too important of a position, and I think he's going to be hands down better than the rest of the other quarterbacks in the class.
This is coming from someone who's bought in to 0% of Baltimore Ravens receiver draft picks. Zay Flowers. This guy is always open. This Todd Monken offense is only going to benefit him. Having Odell and Rashad Bateman is only going to benefit him, and I see a big, big season for Mr. Zay Flowers.
I don't know how you can choose someone other than Bijan for Rookie of the Year.
Bijan
I
Robinson.
think the investment in Bijan from the Falcons just means that they're going to give him so many touches.
This is the lead back in an offense that had Tyler Algier rushing over for 1,000 yards last year.
People in Atlanta, like beat reporters, are saying that he could just see like 300, 350 touches this year.
But I think I'm going to go off the board a little bit. I'm going to go with my man, Zay Flowers. I just think that Zay Flowers is so shifty. Obviously, you don't quite know where the targets are going yet, but he's like phenomenal in preseason, and I just think that he becomes one of Lamar Jackson's favorite targets early in the year and carries it through.
It's crazy that we didn't pick a defensive rookie of the year, especially because the Texans just traded up to get one. Give me Will Anderson. Like, put him right here for me. Defensive rookie of the year to join Bijan.
Okay, Depoy. Micah Parsons.
I think it's time.
Pass rusher, kind of jack of all trades, Micah Parsons.
I've got the Cowboys winning the NFC, and I think it's only fitting that Micah Parsons finally wins a Defensive Player of the Year award. He is their whole defense. When he is off the field, they are just a whole different team without him. The fact that he hasn't won one yet shows just how talented some of the defensive players in football are, obviously, but like, he is right there with them, and I think this is the year he breaks through, especially if the Cowboys are going to have a good season.
TJ Watt, he wins games by himself. If Pittsburgh wants a chance to make any noise in that crowded AFC, it's going to be because of this guy and Minka Fitzpatrick as well.
I think me having the Steelers in the playoffs, if that is realistically going to happen, the only way that that can be true is if this guy gets potentially 20 sacks this year. TJ Watt is just so good, and I think he wants to catch his brother in terms of accolades before it's all said and done. I'm going to throw him in as my Defensive Player of the Year.
Offensive Player of the Year. Who picked Tyreek? It was Pac.
Are we really doing this right now? Is there even a doubt? The Cheetah is here. Put him on there. Tua's playing all 17 games this year. I need some wood. Knock on wood. Tua's staying healthy this year. If Tua stays healthy, the Dolphins will win the division. Tyreek's going for 2,000 yards.
Okay. Even though he didn't make the playoffs. I think this offense is going to take a massive jump, especially if Nick Chubb starts taking over some of that passing work that Kareem Hunt is leaving behind. This guy's going to have like 2,000 total yards.
I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility to see another 1,000 season from Christian McCaffrey, especially in this Kyle Shanahan offense.
This is one that Eric and Hein are not going to agree with in the slightest. Justin Fields is winning Offensive Player of the Year. Look, it's all about the dual threat nature of this award, okay? Because I know it like kind of goes to the best receiver running back because no one votes them for MVP anymore. But Justin Fields is not only a running back, he's a quarterback too. So if he's rushing for over 1,000 yards and you figure the passing gets better because I don't think it can get worse, combine all that with a better Bears team this year, that's Offensive Player of the Year if I've ever heard a recipe for it, okay?
Luca's on one, man. That's crazy. Nicholas Chubb. I think that Nick Chubb is just such an awesome player. I love that he's like a pure runner. He doesn't run with all these R-bands on. He's got bare arms. He's running it down. It's so sick. Like, he looks good while he's doing it. His shiftiness for a guy with strength as well is something that I actually don't think is really in the league at the moment other than him.
My logic here is they're going to give Opoy to a receiver or a running back or a tight end because they don't want to give it to a quarterback when a quarterback's going to win MVP. If you're looking just talent, speed, size, everything, it's him or Jefferson is the best receiver in football, and Burrow is going to just absolutely feed him all season. I think that is your Offensive Player of the Year.
Well, we're moved on to the MVP, which means that I'm basically choosing between 32 guys. I really wish that I could choose Nick Chubb to put in that spot because I think that he has the chance to actually be his team's most valuable player, but that's not what MVP means after all. So I guess I'll just choose a quarterback instead. I think that Joe Burrow is going to take it. He's got the swagger. He doesn't crack under pressure. He's been to a Super Bowl before, so you know that he can do it. I think he's MVP this year.
I'm sure Patrick Mahomes is obviously the boring pick. Joe Burrow is probably the second most boring pick. But for Joe Burrow, if he puts up a year that's like 4,500 and 40 touchdowns, I think that gets it done. And I think that's very realistic for Joe Burrow with the weapons that he has.
I got a team moving up to the second seed in one of the most loaded conferences in football. And I think that'll be a big part to Trevor Lawrence. I think once you finally get a quarterback, their number one receiver, we've seen it with Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen. We've seen it with A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts. Now we give Trevor Lawrence, Calvin Ridley, who's had a year to rest. I think we are going to see a massive difference of a year for the Jacksonville Jaguars and Trevor Lawrence, and I think that is going to be enough to get him the MVP.
You guys want to guess? Who am I picking? Who is it?
Patrick Mahomes.
He's so good, he knocked the 7th seed out of the NFC playoffs just by going on the board. This guy had a UCL injury that knocked Brock Purdy out of a playoff game. 2 plays later, after suffering that injury against the Jets, he threw an 80-yard rope to Gabe Davis, which probably should have won that game, but slipped through his hands. He can do it all. Hurdling, he's stiff arming, he's throwing bombs. Josh Allen MVP. Say what you want in the comments, you're just wrong.
Eric Kirk, shout out. I feel like there's some slander when it comes to Lamar. Like, people are forgetting how good this guy is. This guy's been the whole team ever since he came in the league. It's been Lamar Jackson and no one else, because no one else wants to help the poor guy. Greg Roman wants to make it as hard as possible for him. Let's throw out Devin Duvernay, #1 receiver. Oh yeah. Everything is in place for Lamar to have the best season of his career, especially as a passer. And I just want him to remind the world that he is like a top 5 quarterback. Easily. Like, there's no question about it. Maybe top 3, maybe top 2 by the time the season is all said and done.
I think we are watching a special 5-year run of potentially the greatest player to ever pick up a football, and that's Patrick Mahomes. Yes, it's a boring pick. Call me boring. Yeah, there are a ton of good quarterbacks in this league, but are any of them truly as good as this guy? And he continues to do it no matter who is on his team. Mahomes is the MVP. The Chiefs are the 1 seed. These are my picks for the NFL awards.
Grueling playoff year. We're going to need a Super Bowl champion. I think I'm going to take a team who's been there, who has the coaching, who has the defense. I'm going to take the San Francisco 49ers.
See, the reason why Broncos fans hate this conversation so much is because perpetually the Kansas City Chiefs are going to be in that conversation, and it's just such a tough thing to do over and over and over again. I might as well pick who I think could potentially back-to-back. I don't want... You know what? I'll take this small one. I'll put it upside down. But I think the Super Bowl champ is going to be the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, maybe we all want to see someone else win. But when you got Patrick Mahomes sitting at the top of the throne, until someone proves that they can take him down, I'm going to take the Chiefs year after year after year after year. Fins up, baby. Let's go.
Cincinnati Bengals, we've seen them be able to perform in the playoffs before. They've gotten close. Joe Burrow's going to get his first, and probably the first of like 3 over the course of his career.
Give me the Baltimore Ravens as Super Bowl champions, baby. Let's go! If Lamar is playing an MVP level, better at passing than we've ever seen him, still the same rusher that we've seen him, and add in the fact that like their defense is always good. Year 2 of a new system, Lamar's not passing to scrubs off the street. Like Deshaun Jackson played in this offense last year. Okay, this offense is going to be the best in football. Add that with a really solid defense, you've got a Super Bowl champion.
You know where it's going. I said it last year, and I meant it. I said it the year before. I probably didn't mean it, but I mean it this year. And this year, oh, hold on. Can't knock Josh off. This team went through a lot last year, starting with the health of Kim Pagula. There was the Damar Hamlin situation. They got displaced because of snowstorms. They had to play a home game on the road. This team had a lot going on last year. And eventually, they lost in the divisional round of the Bengals. The Bengals kind of whooped them. Everybody is turning on this team in the media. People are really doubting this squad. Go to the comments. Roast me for being a homer. I don't care because the Bills are winning the Super Bowl this year.
This will be the perfect prediction. When you come back in 6 months, there will be nothing wrong with it. I will probably go 100% perfect. So, thank you.
Who picked Justin Fields?
Luca, but he didn't have the Bears in the playoffs.
Okay, and then he had him as MVP?
No, Offensive Player of the Year.
Who do you have as MVP?
Lamar.
What? Does that ever happen? Where like an MVP is a quarterback and then Offensive Player of the Year is a different quarterback? For the first time ever. That's the NFL just straight up saying, like, we don't know what we're doing here. Welcome to the game where the rules are made up and the points don't matter.